Marcus Warren of Warren Wealth Management is not only a tax expert, he's also a financial advisor. He is all of the above, and we always have a lot of good information on the show, but if you really want more and you want to dive a little bit deeper, he has a workshop coming up here. Marcus, if you would, because I have a lot of people ask me, they say he really knows what he's talking about. We only have a little time. How can they attend a workshop? Well,
they can attend the workshop. We have 2 coming up next week. All they have to do is go to warrenwealth.net, sign up. They can give us a call at 502-339-8255. Seating is limited. I know Tuesdays is pretty full. Thursdays, there are still some open spots, but a lot of good information we're going to give in those workshops.
Yeah, and now more than ever, with everything being, the market being so good right now, but everyone wondering what the future holds, taxes changing. This is a good guy to talk to again. Warren Wealth Management. Let's talk about, okay, all of these titles you have. You're an EA. What's an EA?
An EA is an enrolled agent. It's basically it's issued by the United States Treasury that basically says that I am a tax expert.
Okay, and a financial planner as well.
Yes.
Yeah, we know what an MBA is. Podcast host. Man, You're a Renaissance man. You do it all.
Yeah, try to dip my fingers in a lot of stuff. There's a lot of good information that has to get out to the public.
Okay, now I've been bragging on you, so here we go. You're going to have to prove it here. So let's talk about taxes, because a lot of times people don't put that in the equation when they're talking about retirement.
Right.
Do you find that to be common?
Yeah, a lot of people forget about taxes. They put it on the back burner, and taxes are one of the biggest expenses that you're going to have in retirement. I mean, you're paying income taxes, sales tax, property tax, Social Security tax, but most people, as they get closer or as they're in retirement, they focus on things like when to claim Social Security, how much Social Security they're going to get, Medicare, when to claim Medicare, their investment returns. They start focusing on those things, and they really push taxes to the back.
Yeah. So how can you help folks minimize that taxes? Because sometimes they're pulling from funds. They didn't realize we're going to be taxed.
Yes.
How can you prepare them? What can they do, I guess, to be proactive and minimize that?
Well, to give everyone a good understanding of how taxes can affect your retirement, we basically have what we call 3 tax buckets, right? So you have your taxable bucket, you have your tax-deferred bucket, and you have your tax-free bucket. Now, that taxable bucket basically are things like savings accounts, your CDs, things that you have to pay tax along the way. You're going to get that 1099 at the end of the year, and you're going to have to pay a tax. Then if we jump to that tax-free bucket, these are things that are free from federal, state, and capital gains tax. Roth IRAs, Roth 401ks, life insurance retirement plans, those are tax-free. And then there in the middle, you have the tax-deferred bucket. And this is where most people's money has accumulated. 401ks, IRAs, 403bs, company retirement plans, and these things haven't been taxed. It's grown without tax, but you have to pull it out. And when you pull it out is when you're going to be taxed. And we call that bucket, that middle bucket, the ticking tax time bomb. And the reason is because you're subject to whatever tax rates are when you pull that money out. And we work under the assumption that tax rates are going to be a lot higher in the future than they currently are now. So people have to think of ways to transition from that tax-deferred bucket and put more money in that tax-free bucket. Because the biggest myth is this. When people get that 401k statement, that company retirement plan statement that they see every month, every quarter, every year, it's not true. And the reason it's not true is because that amount that it shows on there isn't all yours, right? It's pre-tax, it's not all yours. You have a partner. That partner is the United States government, and when you pull that money out, they're going to have their hand out, and they're going to want their cut of it. And so you have to think of things now to save money in taxes once you retire.
Interesting. So Marcus, whenever there's a political transition like we've recently had, I would think there'd be enough checks and balances, enough Republicans and Democrats, that taxes wouldn't change too much.
Right.
But is there a possibility of a drastic change?
Yeah, well, we already know this. So we know that there was major tax legislation done in 2018 and changed the tax code, changed the tax rates. Taxes are really the lowest they've been in a generation. Unfortunately, those tax rates have an expiration date, and that expiration date is December 31st, 2025. And so we know that our current low tax rates are going to revert back to what they were in 2017. And this is where the fear comes in, or it should come in, for a lot of people who have most of their money in those tax-deferred plans because they haven't been taxed yet. And so in our office, we try to come up with different strategies and basically ways to minimize taxes now and prepare you for the future. So, you know, we look at tax-efficient investing. We look at stock loss harvesting. There's ways that you can transition money from that tax-deferred bucket to that tax-free bucket through income shifting and Roth conversions, because taxes are going to go up.
Yeah, no question about it. That's something that is pretty predictable.
Absolutely.
Okay, so if someone's watching right now, how do they know whether they should talk to a financial expert or a tax expert? How do they know who to sit down with?
Well, generally, when you go speak to your financial advisor and you mention taxes, they're going to shuffle you off to a CPA, some sort of accountant, someone like that. In our office, we do it all in-house. So just like I said, I'm an enrolled agent, financial planner, and basically the left hand knows what the right hand's doing. There's a lot of synergy there, because when you have your CPA who is somewhere else and you have your advisor, they work in their silos and they're not talking to each other a lot. And so when your advisor is making moves, selling, telling you what to buy and what to sell, a lot of times they're not thinking of it from a tax aspect. And it's not about what you make, it's what you keep. And if you ask your CPA for any advice on financial planning, you know, they don't know anything either. And so we decided, you know what, we can add the most value by bringing it in-house, and that's what we do.
Okay, let's go back to the workshops here. So if you like what you're hearing right now, some of that resonates with you, or you have questions for Marcus Warren, I encourage you to attend one of his workshops. What will be discussed here? Is this, I see here, taxes and retirement. Is it all taxes, or will you deviate a little bit and get off topic?
Yeah, so the main topic are taxes and retirement, but yes, we talk about how to make sure that you're diversified. We talk about long-term care. We talk about all things retirement, because it's important. A lot of people don't understand it. They have anxiety as they get closer to retirement, and we want to ease some of that anxiety and talk about all of those topics during those workshops.
I know this is probably a topic for another day, but something else that you've informed me before, very educational, about how health care can also affect your retirement. And you also can talk about that as well with folks as well, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Taxes, health care, biggest expenses in retirement. You have to plan for it.
Okay, for those who are not comfortable in a group learning situation, if they'd like to meet with you one-on-one, let's talk about that process again. How does that work?
Yeah, so what we tend to do is we know that a lot of people don't want to just come in and sit down and have that big face-to-face right away, and plus we don't know if we're a good fit. So what we've done is we've scheduled some time to do 15-minute phone calls. If you go to talktomarcus.com, my calendar pops up. You can schedule a quick 15-minute phone call. We can find out where you are, where you want to be, and then we can develop and see if we're a good fit. And if we are, then you can come into the office, we can sit down, hash it out, and we can find out about their specific individual situation and see how we can add value.
Man, I love that. The analogy I'm going to use here is you're like a restaurant. You don't just do wealth management and taxes. You don't just do pizza or sushi. You can do it all, man. And I think that would be a real, like you said, everyone works in tandem. And if you have two separate silos, you may get two different opinions and two different outcomes.
Absolutely. Happens all the time.
All right.
Yep.
Warren Wealth Management. He is Marcus Warren. And as you can tell, he is an expert.